Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another video, another story. I'm your host, Johan, and the channel's name is Hardcore Spirituality. How's your heart today? Is your heart kind? How's your mind? Is your mind calm and clear? If you're walking a spiritual path and you found spiritual principles to live by, or a spiritual philosophy that you can relate to, and those things improve your quality of life, you may find after a period of time you become frustrated. You may not be able to explain it. You may even seem depressed or angry, and there's no obvious cause of it. Now, what I found from my studies and research, and this is my experience, this happens. This happens. And when you're disturbed and you can't put your finger on it, this is a time to exercise detachment. Now I'm going to get some more wood. In the meantime, if you want, you can Google concerning spirituality. What does detachment mean? I'll be right back. If you haven't watched my previous videos, I talked about detaching from technology first thing in the morning. You know, some people get up and within 5-10 minutes sit and start watching television, the news in particular. And they tend to watch it for a long time, maybe an hour, maybe more. Some people get up and go right on their phone and go to Facebook and spend an hour, maybe more, scrolling, checking up on who liked my comment or pictures yesterday. Uh-oh, I got a thumbs down and a negative comment. You get the drift, right? Some people get up and start playing video games. And maybe they're lucky to have someone there so they can play video games right away and not have to pause it, you know, to get them drinks and get them something to eat. So there's that. Some people get up and start watching pornography for an hour or for hours. These types of things. And I'll put some links below in the description about how this technology affects our minds, because from my studies, our brains were not designed to process this. And it's more than just stimulation, it's overstimulation. And the other side of it is dopamine hits that we get, you know? Dopamine hits from when we do this for hours. And at some point, it's never enough, you know? You need more, you need something more intense. So I detached from that because that's what I used to do. And I was amazed, actually. I was amazed. Every morning, as you may already know, I get up, go to the bathroom, I grab a coffee and I go sit on my deck for 5 to 10 minutes in silence. I just let my thoughts flow. Now, it wasn't easy at first. Sitting alone with no distractions. You know, your phone is off or your phone is in the house, no TV, nothing. You get up, you do this. Sitting there with no distractions isn't easy. You know, sit still and let your thoughts flow. Why that is for whatever reason, we don't have discipline. We don't have patience. It seems boring. It doesn't stimulate the mind like TV, video games, watching the news, that kind of stuff. It doesn't stimulate the brain. And it seems boring. This is what happens when you activate your brain with technology. TV, video games, pornography, whatever it is. First thing in the morning, Facebook, Twitter, checking your emails, checking your texts. This is what happens. The brain gets so used to being stimulated in such a way it needs that all the time. It needs that dopamine hit. Maybe you weren't into that stuff before, and now you are. Yar. That's my pirate impersonation. But now you are. But now you've found activities you've been doing for a while, later in the day, well, you're upset that you have to do them. Maybe you committed yourself to helping someone, walking their dog, or going to their home for whatever reason. And all of a sudden now, these things start to frustrate you, make you angry. And then you're saying, oh, I don't know why I committed to this. I'm doing all this stuff for other people. And the truth is, if at one time it didn't bother you, then you get involved in the morning with all this stimulation / overstimulation with technology. Those things become boring because they don't stimulate your mind anymore. Think about that for a minute or two. Now, I'm not a TV watcher, at heart, I should say. But I found myself watching more TV in the last year. Well, because of health issues, you know, I turned out to be a sedentary past 14, 15 months. Maybe we need to shift that camera. Bear with me. Have you ever had that experience? You build a fire, then all of a sudden the place you sit, that's where the smoke comes. Thank you for bearing with me. I've mentioned this before. Think about our ancestors. 1800s even, but before that, 1700s. Maybe 1,000 years before that as well. I traced my family history, and on my mother's side, her father, they came from Denmark, Vikings, and went to England, Yorkshire in 1000 Common Era. But you think about our ancestors. What did they do? Well, you could say, here comes the smoke, right? You could say they had responsibilities. Yes, they did. You could say there was always something to do, and that's true. But the truth is, if you look at it from another angle, they didn't have the distractions that we have today. Oh, about a month or two ago, after my morning meditation, and I took care of my dog and got myself ready for the day, and I wasn't really up to doing much. I said to myself, I'm not going to turn the TV on. I'm going to sit here in my recliner and just relax. Well, before you know it, I thought of some little things I could do. You see, my mind wasn't stimulated by a piece of technology. My mind was not distracted by the news, television shows, playing video games, pornography. And when the mind is calm, when there are no distractions, you would be surprised at all of the things you could be doing. When we have a spiritual awakening and an epiphany, they call it, which I still have spiritual awakenings and epiphanies a lot of times every day. When we transcend, and transcendence means existing and experiencing above the normal level, existing and experiencing above the physical level, the pains of moving on from our previous way of life, activities that serve no purpose, activities, conversations, movies, news, whatever it was that served no purpose and could be destructive, as some of them are, you start to grieve them. You start to grieve them. Your body's going through withdrawals. Your brain's going through withdrawals. One of the best decisions I ever made was to start that meditation first thing in the morning. I get up, go to the bathroom, get a coffee, and sit on my deck for 5 to 10 minutes, and my thoughts flow. You can't stop your thoughts, but you could learn after a period of time, when you get into that routine and you're disciplined and have patience, You can ignore your thoughts. You don't have to focus on them. Then I ask myself 4 questions. What do I need to do today? What should I do today? What do I have to do today? What is most important? I'm preparing myself for the day. Remember now, I'm not stimulated by technology and overstimulated. And so I'm able to focus. I'm not distracted. My mind is calm. Is your mind calm? Have you learned to not focus on your thoughts? Do you ever wonder that I could be doing something else? What is it? What could I be doing? This, I don't want to do this. Any of those things I mentioned to you. And my experience is you won't get to the root of it. You won't find out what it is until you detach from technology first thing in the morning and meditate. Sit there for 5 to 10 minutes and let your thoughts flow. If you could only do it a minute, fine. Go back the next day and do it again. Go back the next day and do it again. Go back the next day, sit there. Just sit there and let your thoughts flow. And sometimes your thoughts will slow down. You're training your mind now at that point not to focus on them. They slow down. And I guess you could call it a distraction. A distraction is when you ask yourself those 4 questions. What do I need to do today? What should I do today? What do I have to do today? What's most important? Well, you're not thinking about Facebook, hopefully. You're not thinking about, I gotta go get the high score in a video game. You're not thinking about pornography. You're not thinking about what's going on in the world in the news. You're focusing on yourself. You're preparing yourself for the day. You could say you're getting your shit together. Keep doing that. First thing in the morning. Keep doing it. First thing in the morning. Sit in silence for 5 to 10 minutes. Give your mind a break. I've had a lot of people make comments on my channel over the years. I need a spot like you have. Now, the backstory of the Sacred Grove is when I researched my ancestors, the Vikings, and their ancestors, the tribes from Germania, they all had sacred groves. But it was in meditation one morning when I said, I have access to the patch of land behind my house, the woods. Why don't I build a grove? Okay? You see, in a way, let's look at it like this. Some people will buy a new car to feel good. Some people will buy new clothes that they don't need to feel good. Things like this. And of course, the feeling good wears off, the stimulation of it. But I found I feel good when I come here to the Sacred Grove that I built myself. And there are plenty of places you could go to, a state park, walking trails. You could park in an outside parking lot at a state camping facility and walk around. If you don't give your mind a break, you won't know exactly what your next step is. Did you ever hear that song? I think it's by U2. Because I still haven't found what I'm looking for. If you haven't found what you're looking for, you'll find it in meditation.